The Lakers or the Rockets? According to ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, the Houston Rockets are open for business. Woj tweeted this out about 1 hour ago. Sources: in calls to front offices, Houston GM Daryl Morey is showing an aggressive desire to improve roster with all players and picks available in talks. Hard to imagine James Harden's scenario, but the rest under contract, perhaps even Chris Paul, could be moved in the right deal. Woj went on in an article on ESPN.com where he said the following: the possibility of trading all NBA guard James Harden is believed to be extremely limited, but the rest of the roster could be more realistic trade targets. What is realistic? What is limited? And what is likely? Let us set aside for a moment. Because what is available appears to be everyone, all players, including James Harden. And I ask you, who says no? LeBron James for James Harden. First, let's take a moment, if we can, and celebrate Daryl Morey. The Houston Rockets GM is proving to be in a limited class, rarefied air. The Houston Rockets GM, Daryl Morey, is proving to be in a class with characters like Toronto Raptors GM Masai Ujiri. Men who do not think good is good enough. Men who are not willing to rest on second-round exits in the playoffs. You can make a good living exiting in the second round. You can be safe. You can last 3, 4, 5 years. You can collect nice paychecks by being just good enough. But good enough isn't good enough when greatness is the standard. And Daryl Morey, having looked at what this Rockets team, with Chris Paul, with James Harden, has accomplished, Daryl Morey, seeing their own ceiling, their mortality, the height of their capabilities, their achievement, says, let's get back to the table and put up the biggest ante. Let's bet again. First, what did he see? Here's ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst on the Rockets' long look in the mirror.
Not necessarily. I think it's also an admission that they've got a roster that's very expensive, that they don't think is a championship roster, and an owner who may not want to pay this level of salaries. The team went through an incredible series of trades this year, including trading away their number 1 draft pick to get under the luxury tax. It's been unclear whether Tillman Fertitta is willing to pay the luxury tax going forward. He has said that he is willing to spend on this roster, but his actions and the actions of the organization have looked the other direction.
Or is it that he would be reticent to spend into the luxury tax on a roster that is not contending for a championship? I love the attitude in Houston. I love the attitude of Daryl Morey. I love the attitude in Toronto. I love the risk tolerance of Masai Ujiri. I love those that are willing to say, I'll trade away 5 years of semifinal exits. I'll trade away the ceiling of DeMar DeRozan. I'll trade away my paychecks, which will come in nice and get me another nice car and a second home and live a comfortable life for a shot. And in Toronto's case, maybe even just a 1-year shot at greatness. That's what Toronto was willing to do. That's the ante they were willing to put out there. That's the backbone that Toronto had. Bet it all on a shot to persuade Kawhi Leonard to stay in Toronto, and bet it all on a 1-year shot at greatness, a 1-year shot at a title. It all came up aces so far. I don't care if Kawhi Leonard doesn't stay. I don't care if the Raptors don't win the title. It's all W's for Ujiri and the Raptors because they had the cojones. They had the backbone. They had the guts to get out there and take the risk to be great. And if Daryl Morey in Houston is willing to do the same, let's take a minute and celebrate that rare quality. I've said several times on the Will Cain Show that most people's goal in life is not to succeed. Most people's goal in life is to avoid failure. Daryl Morey, like Masai Ujiri, is here to succeed. Now it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. I know it sounds crazy. I know it's easy to yell no. LeBron James, get out of here. Who would trade LeBron? Same time. James Harden, an MVP candidate? Come on, Will. Who would trade James Harden? It's easy to say no. It sounds smart. It sounds like you're being realistic. Nah, would never happen. Nah, move on. I hear the dull thud of a lack of creativity. I think geniuses see yes and maybe where others can only see no. And in a world where LeBron James plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, a world where your superstar is 34 years old and the rest of your core, the rest that you're building around, is under 25. Are you on the same timeline? Are you in the same world? In a world where that player is on that team, where that timeline makes no sense, I don't think there's any trade that sounds crazy. I don't think there's anything off limits. And I think there's a world of options that make everyone better. Let's start with crazy. Let's see if we can find a yes or a maybe. Let's not dismiss out of hand with a no. LeBron James for James Harden. Who says no? Now, Adrian Wojnarowski, the ESPN NBA insider who is breaking this story that everyone is available on the Rockets, is acknowledging this is unlikely, but be clear. All the Rockets can be traded.
Daryl Morey has made essentially his entire roster available. There's really a very limited scope on the possibility of a James Harden deal. That's almost impossible, but everybody else on that roster, if they think can improve that team, create some financial flexibility, they would do it. That would include even Chris Paul.
Almost impossible, but all players are available. So let's start with this. If you were trading James Harden, if James Harden were available, how many players would you really be willing to trade him for? What kind of player would it take? There's not many. There's not many places to go, not many more rungs on the ladder, notches up from James Harden. Where is James Harden? 6th best player in the NBA? Put Steph Curry above him, Kawhi Leonard above him, Giannis Antetokounmpo above him, LeBron James above him, Kevin Durant above him. So if I'm trading James Harden, I either need a massive package of 2-3 players under James Harden's level, or I need one of the players better than him. And it just so happens that one of the players better than James Harden is in a home where he doesn't make sense. LeBron James, as I've mentioned, does not fit the Los Angeles Lakers timeline. His age and his window are built for now. LeBron James is an NBA title contender embodied in one human being as we speak. Put the right pieces around him, give him the right experience, give him the right players, and LeBron James puts somebody into title contention. Give him a bunch of young guys whose window is 6 years off, and you've got a yin and a yang that does not fit together. You have got two different timelines pulling in two different directions. And if the dysfunction in Los Angeles is as deep as it is clear, if the dysfunction in Los Angeles is laid out for us by Magic Johnson and Jeannie Buss, why would LeBron want to stay? Why would he pull a free agent this summer? Why would he believe that he has a title awaiting him at the end of this project in LA? But swap places. James Harden for LeBron James, and tell me who that doesn't benefit. Let's take the Lakers side of the equation first. You get James Harden. You get a perennial MVP candidate. You get younger. James Harden is 29 years old. Closer, if not on the exact same timeline, closer to the timeline of Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram. Closer, in fact, you would say, to any free agent that he would bring in this summer. And that's a real trick for LA, is it not? The 2-for-1 deal. If it's true, there's so many of the Ks, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, don't want to play with LeBron James. What happens when LeBron James is a Houston Rocket? All of a sudden, you're back open for business. You have James Harden and cap space and willingness for free agents to come in and join him. Not only do you get James Harden, you get the open door that the absence of LeBron James creates. How does James Harden and Kawhi Leonard sound to you, LA? Both possibilities in a post-LeBron James world. Who says no? I think we first established Los Angeles does not. Who says no? Let's take it from the Rockets side of the equation. The Rockets trade James Harden for LeBron James. The Rockets get older, but the Rockets' window is now. They have LeBron James' best friend, Chris Paul, sitting there waiting. Chris Paul's game fits with LeBron James' game. In fact, the Houston Rockets system fits LeBron James. Give him the ball. Let him penetrate. Let him distribute. Surround him with shooters. You have that in Houston. Let him get to the cup. LeBron James is, I think we would all have to admit, a notch or two above James Harden. In the short term, right now, in the next year or two, do you think the Rockets would be better with LeBron James running the show than James Harden? I think the answer is yes. This deal, I know sounds crazy. This proposal, LeBron James for James Harden, I know sounds off the wall. This deal, I know sounds like a hot take. But the deal is, if you can't find the party that says no, then why is it a no? Who doesn't it make sense for? Who walks away from LeBron James for James Harden? Again, if you think that's crazy, I will say this. A couple of weeks ago on First Take, hanging out with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman, I said to them this. I said, if the Rockets have in fact reached their ceiling, if they've come to face their mortality, everyone should be on the blocks. And at that time, I said, here's a deal to consider. How about Clint Capella for Kevin Love? Yes, you get older, but better. You get an experienced, title-winning player. You get a third player, a third scorer. You lose some in defense, but you maximize your window of now. LeBron James and James Harden makes the same kind of sense that Clint Capella for Kevin Love makes. And here is Adrian Wojnarowski talking about the most likely Rocket to be traded.
I think Capella is probably the most tradable of the group. He's locked in for another 4 years at a reasonable number. There's some incentive clauses in his deal that can lift his contract. It's one of the better centers in the NBA, and that's been the name I've been told has been more of a topic here in recent days with the calls that Daryl Morey is generating out of Houston.
A few weeks ago, I told you Capella for Love. Today, I tell you, not that it's likely, not that it will happen, not that it isn't a big stretch and a big risk, but the deal that makes the most sense, the deal I find a hard party to say no to, is LeBron James for James Harden. Give me a call, 888-729-3776 on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you tell me who says no. In fact, let's hear from Eric in Michigan. What's up, Eric? You're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane today.
What's up, Will Kane? Houston Rockets say no to that trade. L.A. would love it because they would get younger. But the problem in Houston is not necessarily Harden and Paul. I believe it's D'Antoni and his system.
The problem with your analysis, Eric, is that doesn't seem to be the agreement of Rockets ownership or Rockets management. Today, the news is not that GM Daryl Morey or owner Tillman Fertitta are looking to make a coaching change. It's that all players on the roster are available. I agree with you. The Lakers would say yes to that deal. But right now, if the Rockets are serious about winning a championship and serious about seeing their window is now, I think they have to look at saying yes as well. I agree with one thing you're saying, Eric. It's that the harder equation is the Houston side. But can you imagine we're sitting here today and we're saying that the hang-up in a deal is that one of the parties say no to LeBron James? Let's go to Curtis from New Jersey. What's up, Curtis? You're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane. Curtis. Curtis is gone. All right, last one. John from Atlanta. What's up, John? You're on the Stephen A. Smith Show with Will Kane.
So this is John. I just want to say I'm a big fan. I listen to you on ESPN Radio. I want to say no to that deal because I believe a free agent joins LeBron James in Los Angeles. But I do agree with you also in implementing that LeBron James could run it better in Houston. I mean, I do believe that LeBron James could run, the system a little bit better than James Harden does in Houston, but I say no to that trade.
But why? That's the thing, John. Everyone says no, and I'm not trying to be the radio talk show host that yells at anyone or says I'm always right, even though I always am. I'm open to being told how I'm wrong. John, why do they both say no? Tell me, and I might believe you.
Well, I mean, personally, like I said before, I think that a free agent will join LeBron James. There's 6, 7, 8 on the market, and I don't think Houston gets traded. Or I apologize. I do not think James Harden gets traded for LeBron James. I believe maybe Chris Paul gets traded or maybe another piece comes into Houston, but I don't think it will be LeBron James.
All right. Thanks for the call, John. Here's the thing. And I'm not coming down especially hard on John, but I think that's what most people fall back on. No, it's not realistic. I don't think James Harden will get traded. Okay, John, I agree with you. But why? Tell me why the deal doesn't make sense. Tell me why either party walks away. That's Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart. Last night on the NBA Finals preview, hosted by Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, with guests Doc Rivers and Magic Johnson, we heard from the former Lakers president of basketball operations about the explosive ESPN.com piece yesterday by Baxter Holmes that alleged the Lakers' dysfunction was illustrated by Rob Pelinka's lying, by Jeannie Buss's inability to lead actively that organization, and by Magic Johnson's management by tyranny. The allegations were that Magic Johnson instilled fear, that he was impulsive, that he gave people panic attacks, that he was anxiety-inducing. Magic Johnson went on the television show last night with Stephen A. Smith, and this is what he had to say about those allegations and others, including the fact that he might have not been all in, that he might have been part-time, that he might have been lazy. Listen.
Stephen, I always wanted to be a businessman. I built this incredible business, and now I have to step back from that business to then, really give 100% effort into my job and what I was doing. So I love working for Jeannie.
That one right there. Tell me what that, Nuno, really quickly. What was that? That's not from last night? What was that from? That's from 2007. I'm sorry? Yeah, let me hear. I want to hear Magic Johnson last night when he addressed the allegations that he was lazy.
Lazy? I have built a $600 million business. You cannot be lazy going from playing basketball and winning 5 championships. So I wasn't lazy as a player. And I'm not lazy as a CEO and a business owner. That's never going to happen.
So here's the deal. I've been one of the people that have said Magic Johnson, one of his failures in Los Angeles, was that he was taking on a full-time job on a part-time schedule. By his own admission, Magic Johnson said he came to an agreement with Jeannie Buss when he took the job that he would continue to manage his other businesses. Remember, he said that on First Take when he first appeared a week ago, that his agreement with Jeannie Buss was that he was kind of half in, half out.
When we sat down and negotiated, I told her, I said, listen, I can't give up all my businesses. I make more money doing that than becoming the president of the Lakers. So you know that I'm going to be in and out. Is that okay with you? She said, yes. I said, do I have the power to make decisions? Because that was important. For me to take the job as well. She said, you have the power to make the decisions.
So there's Magic Johnson saying when he took the job, he had an agreement to be somewhat part-time. And then last night on the SportsCenter special, the NBA Finals preview with Stephen A. Smith, Magic Johnson said, how could I be lazy when building a $600 million business? And what I would say is this, Magic Johnson is changing the narrative. He is changing the accusation. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I can tell, no one has called Magic Johnson lazy. No one has said he's incapable of hard work. No one has even said he wasn't working hard with the Lakers. What they have questioned was whether or not Magic Johnson was fully 150% committed to Los Angeles Lakers. Now, that's a funny percentage, right? Will, there's no such thing as 150%. 100's as high as it can get. There's no such thing as 150. I know. But I didn't pick that number out of thin air. I heard that number. I heard that number in relation to Magic's commitment to the Lakers. And I heard it from somebody who would know. Because I heard it from Magic Johnson. Laziness is not the only explanation for being less than 150% committed. Distraction, other interests, even hard work pulled in different directions can keep someone from a promise they made when they took the job. Did Magic make that kind of promise? Stick around, because I'm going to play you some sound from Magic Johnson that sets our own standards of expectation from what we needed from Magic Johnson in running the Los Angeles Lakers. The Stephen A. Smith Show is brought to you by new Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline, now with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. Don't go anywhere. You got to hear the sound of Magic Johnson and what he promised when he took over that job to run the Los Angeles Lakers. It's Will Kane filling in for Stephen A. Smith on ESPN Radio.
No time to wax.